You're listening to The Man Cave with Lexington Steele and co-hosts Andre Lavelle and John E. Depth, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Well, it is the Man Cave live show here at LA Talk Radio. Gentlemen,
yes,
I know that without a question, it is December 18th, and as we prepare to move to our Christmas season, whether it be Christmas or Kwanzaa, whatever particular religion that you espouse, we want to make sure that you enjoy this time of year with your family, and bearing in mind that there are people representing the United States, both here and abroad, that will protect our liberties and those liberties that we enjoy on a daily basis, and we want to commend them and be thinking of them on this particular holiday season. So tonight on the Man Cave, we have a number of discussions that we could have. But first and foremost, I want to introduce you to my two co-hosts. To my left is Andre Lavelle, courtesy of PCW Fit.
yes, sir. How's it going, everybody?
What's going down?
Ready to get it in?
No doubt. And of course, we have John E. Depth, who appears courtesy of Formula R3. Tell me about that again, John D.
Oh, yeah, it's
Johnny D.
Yeah, Johnny D. Mr. Dap, yeah. All natural sexual enhancement for men. And by the way, I know I've been telling you guys, I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, I got to get you covered, Well, today, I bring out the covers.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know, I got to pass this over to
Pass
Andre.
that to Dre.
Hey,
Pass it
you
on
sure?
over.
You
Yeah,
sure?
'cause I pass it over. I've been
man.
promising him, but
Bam!
there it is, man.
Rise,
it's
rock,
official.
and restore.
Yes, it's official tissue, so. It's,
All right. Now, before we go any further, tell us about this. Now, Andre and I know about this. The three of us host Fourth and Goal Sports Talk TV Tuesday nights,
Correct.
7 to 9 p.m. on chocolateradio.net and Ustream. But
Right.
As I understand that, the gentlemen out there need to be made aware of this.
Of course.
So tell us a little bit about Formula R3.
Well, Formula R3 is an all-natural sexual enhancement for men. It enhances your performance in the bedroom. You know, boosts your blood flow to the genital area, restores energy, gives energy, boosts the mood, and things of that nature. And also, on top of all of that, it protects your prostate, which many fail to recognize or take heed.
So, unlike Viagra and some of the other things, this is
not
natural.
a drug. Yes, this is not a drug. Yes, it's
Awesome.
It's all natural plant extracts. And as the package reads, it lasts up to 72 hours.
Now, that was one of the things that Dre and I had actually spoke about was yesterday morning, as a matter of fact. Now, how does this, as a natural herb and mineral, how do these things last up to 72 hours?
Because, see, here's the thing. Once it gets into your system, it's in there and it works, because what happens is, unlike a Viagra, for instance, like you may take it and after the sex is said and done, and I won't indulge into it too much because we don't have limited time, but after the sex is done, you may still walk around with a heart on. Unlike this is when you take it, whenever you're ready to go, it's ready to go, and when you're down, it's down. So it's all about your mood. It enhances your mood, it enhances your focus, it enhances your blood flow. It does everything that a Viagra or Cialis does without the side effects and much more.
No doubt.
Well,
Yes,
I
sir.
will have to try it out.
Yes,
and,
indulge in it, and please, by all means, let me know what your feedback is, and
Okay.
and go to Twitter, man, and talk about it, man. Talk about your experience, man. We want to know your experience with Formula R3, Rise, Rock, and Restore.
Sounds like a
What's
plan.
up?
Definitely.
Before we get into the show tonight and go into our discussions, people, you can, of course, reach us here at 818-570-5085. Once again, gentlemen, 818-570, what is it?
5085.
Andre said it, 5085.
There it is.
I wanted to introduce something to the show, gentlemen, and for those watching, here at the Man Cave, there's going to be certain things we're going to introduce to our viewership. I'd like to introduce tonight, briefly, of course, what would be the current reading list for those who would choose to roll and walk with the Man Cave. Now, first and foremost, for those of you that are sports fans, particularly fans of the GOATs, the greatest of all time, the most on high, the highest above all others. There's only him, and then all others. Michael J. Jordan of University of North Carolina Tar Heels, the Chicago Bulls, and the Washington Wizards.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Correct?
Jeffrey Jordan, as in Michael J. Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan. This is a good book. It's called Michael Jordan, The Life. It's written by Roland Lazenby. It's one of the best authorized biographics of Michael Jordan. There's a number of volumes and tomes out there that you can purchase. This one in particular I recommend from the standpoint that it is a authorized biography. Now, a lot of biographies are not authorized by the subject. It's a very, very big book, so it's going to keep you occupied for quite some time. And there are a number of things you'll learn about the great Michael J. Jordan that you may not have known before. Second to that, on a political level, about a week ago, we were watching early on one of the mornings we were working out. Andre Lavelle is a celebrity trainer. He trains your man Lex Steele, and we were while I train in my weight room. There's a television. We had I play CNN. Of course, after ESPN, of course. Let's get that straight. Let's make no mistake.
Right.
But they had a guy on there that struck my interest, and I picked up the book immediately on Amazon.com. It's called Agent Storm: My Life Inside Al Qaeda and the CIA by Morton Storm. Now, what's interesting about Morton Storm, albeit Agent Storm, the book, he's a Danish gentleman who became a member of Islam, began following the Muslim faith, and after a certain number of years, he became disenchanted with his travels within the faith, and began to become a double agent, then becoming a triple agent, whereas he began working undercover behind enemy lines without question for the Danish intelligence. Then he was picked up by M16 or M6. British Secret Service.
Wow.
Began working simultaneously with British Secret Service, and after a number of years of successfully being a double agent, he was recruited by the CIA, becoming factually the only known triple agent in the history of intelligence or high espionage, if you will. So I do recommend both these books. I'm currently having completed The Life. I'm now in the midst of Agent Storm, My Life Inside Al Qaeda and the CIA. Quite pertinent information, quite pertinent volume, novel to read.
Think they'll make a movie out of it?
This could be, it certainly would lend itself to a movie.
I'll check it out.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, the guy, he's still alive.
It's movie material.
He's still alive. He does not conduct his life under any type of...
It's like a Born Identity?
Well, not quite, because, I mean, Born Identity had multiple... This guy, literally, they said this guy operated 27 personalities at one time. He speaks 7 languages.
Incredible. Wow.
And he was able to be literally embedded right next to Bin Laden.
Wow.
He knew Bin Laden personally.
Really?
As the only known triple agent to successfully leave espionage.
Well, speaking of multiple personalities, what do you think about what's been said about Mr. Cosby?
Yo, let's hit it. Dre brought it right up in it.
Bring it in, man.
Man, hey, you know what? And
Pops.
people, once again, I would encourage you to reach ourselves at 818-570-5085. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if Duck Dynasty is on tonight. I know there's a lot of options you may have, but the best place to be is at the ManCave with your man Lex Steele. So Dre, what do you got on Cosby? I know there's been some new information that has arisen over the last 72 hours.
Well, first, the lawsuits, judge kicked it out. Said, hey, statute of limitations, can't do nothing with it.
And I figured that because on the other show we had discussed that, talking about that. It's like, it's past the time. Like, it's been 15 years? 20 years, maybe?
Okay, then as a point of clarification, we are talking about one Judy Huth, or Ruth. So we have Judy Huth, who's the one that said in 1974,
She was underage,
as a 15-year-old.
hanging at the Playboy Mansion.
At the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, right.
Not for nothing, people, but and I know that I personally know how difficult it is to gain interest into the Playboy Mansion. Had she been accompanied by a person who was a regular at the mansion, she though would have gotten in.
But was it a special event where kids are welcome? Was it a Christmas?
I doubt it was a
something?
special event.
Yeah, so I'm
And
sure
she's
Hef wouldn't
15.
put himself in that position to have.
Well,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She may have looked. I mean, she could have looked well over
It's
the
not like
age
he's
of
like it's
consent.
not like she snuck in the back door. Like, come on, that's the Playboy Mansion. I know
Yeah.
the security should be pretty heavy there. So but at 15, like I said, it happened in 1974. Like, do the math on that. That's like almost what? That's 30 some years, 38, 39 years.
Well, now she has retained Gloria Allred as her representative attorney. Statute of limitations has passed, but let's bear in mind that in the state of California, they do have the statute of limitations is somewhat different. Whereas if you were molested as an underage individual, and then you discover this at a later time, whether brought on by some sort of psychological therapy in which you recover the memories of abuse as a minor, that within 3 years of that realization, you can indeed file charges for sexual molestation on something that had happened so long ago.
Or if you're looking for a check. But
Well,
anyway.
that remains to be seen.
Right,
but it bears in mind to note that at the point that this was particularly attempted to bring, to be applied by Miss Allred, the statute of limitation has passed on that as well. Whereas had Judy came out within around the year that she felt he had the epiphany that this took place back in 74, she could have done something about it. Now, ironically enough, as you mentioned, JD, Cosby's attorneys have claimed that Huth attempted to extort him to the tune of $250,000, while also trying to sell the story to tabloids some 10 years ago. So there are a number of strange machinations, if you will, that are accompanying this particular assault on one of American culture's greatest icons.
If I may jump in,
Certainly.
as far as the barbershop is concerned, as we say, this is barbershop rules. We hop in, hop
No
out.
doubt.
I mean, and like I told Dre before, I'm like, I always thought something was fishy in Denmark from the jump, man, because like all of these people are coming out at one time. It's like it's almost
Well,
like
it's strange that you said Denmark. Word, I'm like, okay.
Nah, it's just the saying. Like I knew something was crazy.
Okay,
I knew
in Denmark.
something-
Oh,
I knew
okay.
something fishy because I was like, all of a sudden, all these people are coming out at one time.
Right.
It's like it almost seems like a conspiracy. Like, did we sit around? It's just like us getting together. Like, yo, look, we're gonna meet on Thursday night and we're gonna sit down. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna scam. And that's what it seemed. Not saying that it took place like that, but I'm saying that's what it appears to. That's what it appears to be like. Because I'm like, everybody's coming out at one time. Like, you got this person coming out of left field, then you got this person.
And then I find that it's interesting that when the judge threw this case out, less than a day later, another person pops up who is within the time frame to do something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then something about we was discussing about the licking of toes or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's the new person.
So here we go. It's a point of clarification, gentlemen. Model Chloe Goins says Bill Cosby drugged her and licked her toes in 2008. Now, what has happened in her case, and I will say that this as a lesser sexual assault, this would be sexual battery, has a 6-year statute of limitations. So this having taken place in 2000, or asserted to have taken place in 2008, she has broached the statute of limitations, and she has yet to even file a police report. Now, as she claims,
Where did this take place?
well, this was claimed to have taken place at the Playboy Mansion.
There you go.
In which she went to Playboy Mansion. She was introduced to Hugh Hefner with the person who accompanied her. Bill Cosby went and got her drinks. She came back. He came back and gave them. They began having drinks. She began to feel sick. She said to Hugh Hefner, Hugh Hefner approached her, asking her, as she had not looking that well, would you like to lay down upstairs in one of the bedrooms.
Of course.
Bill Cosby, being a gentleman that he was, certainly enough at the time, offered to escort her.
Escort you to
John
the
D
room.
is about to break up. Escort her to the bedroom. They made it to the bedroom, and evidently she passed out. She came to when she felt a stronger bite on one of her toes. That's what brought her out of the stupor.
Listen to yourself.
I certainly enough. And she found
I know you're not
Bill
making this up,
Cosby
but-
naked and masturbating over her.
And she said, "What are you doing?
She said, "What are you doing?" And
What
then
does it look like, bitch? You're masturbating or something."
and he hops up and he puts his clothes on and runs out the door.
But listen,
And that don't even sound right.
Exactly.
Right.
That doesn't even sound right. Now, I'm just saying, listen. If you had a tape recorder and you listen to yourself, you go back and you play. You be like, did I just say that?
Yeah.
That sounds ridiculous.
Right.
But be that as it may,
Well, people, the phone lines are open. If you'd like to participate in this conversation, certainly enough, offer your particular opinion as to what we're discussing. We definitely welcome it. Now, let me ask you guys this then. I mean,
That's
what
funny.
we're looking at statute of limitations. We're looking at possible conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit in time,
Mm-hmm.
where we had a period where Bill Cosby was attempting to purchase the National Broadcast Company, otherwise known as NBC.
See, now you stepping in. Now you're about to swim into conspiracy
Right,
waters. But
we're getting waist deep in conspiracy theory.
stroke slightly with
Certainly enough.
Lead them in.
Well, I mean, so now there were probably, as I understand it, there were misgivings with Bill Cosby maybe going out of his lane, so to speak. Subsequent to that,
So therefore,
he
you
lost.
must be punished.
Well, I mean, one could ask, had he needed to be punished by whoever they are?
Yeah, I mean, look, not for nothing. I mean, the losing of your son, which was, I mean, that was very, very unfortunate. But it was strange how that happened.
Right.
Okay, that's
Because
one.
from what I'm understanding, he wasn't backing down. They said, "Okay, it cost this much." He said, "There you go, money on the table." And they said, "Oh, we didn't mean that much. We meant this much." So, okay, hey, Oprah, give me a loan. Okay, now, boom, now what?
And see, and, and the
He
crazy
wasn't backing down.
And the crazy thing about that is that, I mean, the Cosby Show, and I know, and people can go read up on it, because we're in the age of Google, things of that nature. I mean, he literally, in a sense, he saved NBC because NBC was suffering.
tanking.
Amongst the three giants at the time, because as you know, there was only CBS, NBC, and ABC, and the comedy world, at that time was just trying to come back into full force, and the Cosby Show, man, put NBC back in the game because all they had
Thursday
was
night
Cheers.
lineup, baby.
Right.
Thursday
Right,
night lineup.
and Cheers couldn't hold it by
Well,
themselves.
now, what were some of the contemporaries of the Cosby Show? Friends? Was Friends?
Friends
up?
wasn't out
No,
there.
Friends
that-
wasn't out
not
there.
yet. Okay.
Nah. So you had Cheers.
Okay.
What else did you have at that? I mean, you had The
I can't
Simpsons.
even. What about, was Knight Rider? Was Knight Rider around that time? I can't recall.
But see that goes to show you. Look how powerful that show was.
Right.
You don't remember anything else.
That was out simultaneously,
exactly.
yeah.
And look how it affected our lives,
Yeah.
especially as a teenager in the '80s, because that was one of the things that pushed me to go to college.
Right.
'Cause it's springboard from the Cosby
A
onto different world.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and his thing right there was like, okay, Mr. Cosby thing is always education, so that was a perfect way, a perfect medium to get his point across through television. That's why he was so focused on education. He was always wearing the sweaters and things of that nature, and it pushed a lot of young black men in the '80s to go to college, because at that time the rate of black men in college was very high. And the graduate rate was high too. You can look it up.
Well, he's always been socially aware and conscious.
Right.
I mean, he
But at
was,
the same
he was outspoken when nobody else was.
Yeah, but
Right.
speaking
but you
out.
know what?
Right.
And I hate to say this, but a lot of people are like, because I frequent the social media, Facebook and all that. And a lot of times you don't know what people are putting up, but I notice a lot of you have some people is like, oh well, it serves him right because the way he talked down to black people and this, that, and the third. I'm like, well.
Now let me ask you this: when we
Right.
read these negative,
Right.
This negative conjecture that we read about online,
Mm-hmm.
have we noticed that there is a tinge of racial application that we are witnessing here? Now, and I will preface that
Are you throwing
rebuttal.
Are you throwing your race card out there?
Well, I'll preface that rebuttal by saying we did have another major star maybe a month or two ago who lost his whole program because it was revealed that decades ago he had sexual molestation, asexual molestation situation with an underage person. And I can't remember that guy's name, white man, father figure on TV. He's lost everything.
Wow.
So some people think it's racially charged, but what we've seen is that for whom the bell tolls,
Stephen Collins.
For whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. It's not necessarily based on black-white. If you have transgressions and they come to light, the anvil will fall as heavily on ourselves as it would
Stephen
a white
Collins,
star.
His thing came out under he was seeing a psychiatrist or a doctor or therapist,
right?
And his wife, who divorced him, and I think it was about money, but she secretly recorded that session, so that was kind of illegal,
right?
In that session, he admitted that he might have done something inappropriate
on 2 or 3 occasions, I believe.
Yeah, so he admitted that. Cosby hasn't said anything,
right?
And see, here's the thing that's so crazy about the Cosby incident. Like here's a man that we watched on television and we looked up to and everything, and he's made a big difference because he's given to a lot of like college institutions money and things of that nature. He's been a philanthropist, but it seems like out of nowhere he gets hit with all of this, like.
Right, 23 women, 24 as of
like,
Chloe.
Yeah,
Givens,
within a month span.
Goins. Right.
And
I mean, look at that.
Right.
And that's been done years and years ago. Like you said,
right.
I think something he may have upset
He had a new
someone.
TV show. He had a new series coming. He was about to do a major tour.
Matter of fact, did he have? If I do stand corrected, didn't he have a regular network show and a Netflix show as well about to hit? Two shows.
Something like, he had 2 shows about that. So that's been pulled, and somebody was talking about his syndication has been pulled from like TV Land. And once your syndication money is pulled,
right? And you were saying that his tour was about he was going to be a tour.
Yeah, he
again.
was about to get on and do a stand up again. Which is a great show. My parents saw it in Vegas, but I think that people are forgetting the impact that Cosby had. This generation doesn't realize he was a major star from I Spy. He was the first black.
I get that. We certainly have. We are familiar, of course, with how he arrived at his status. The question on the table is whether or not, how can this happen? I mean, did he do it? Should he end up in a courtroom? Bottom line is this. Until somebody can get him in a courtroom, they can't depose him.
And that's the point I make. It's all hearsay.
Right. So how can
are we
this
at
happen?
the point where anybody can just come out of the blue
Make a
and say something about you and ruin your career
and
your whole legacy?
And understand that one of the women was going to sue him for defamation of character just because he denied it. Now I don't understand. I'm not a lawyer, but if someone speaks out against me, I have every right to say that bitch is crazy.
Yeah.
And you're going to sue me because I said, yo, bitch, I didn't do that. You're crazy. Now you're suing me for defaming your character because I called you a liar for calling me a rapist.
It just looks bad, man. It's just something's like somebody, I don't know, somebody's pulling the strings from behind the doors, man, behind the curtains.
No. Why is it that women, and people, hang me if you will, but why is it that women are so quick to believe that these things transpired and not looking at the potential for an existing conspiracy theory? I mean, this is the second time that they, whoever they are, have attacked Mr. Bill Cosby. I speak adamantly about this. Bill Cosby is a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, of which I'm a member since 1991. So when we speak of Bill Cosby, I speak from my heart because this is my fraternity brother. Now, why is it that the women we've only saw one prominent woman come forward and assert the at least certainly offer the converse of this attempt of defamation of character of Bill Cosby has been his wife of, I believe, 51 years. Camille Cosby. Now, perhaps the most prominent of all women in this whole circle may be Bill Cosby. We do have a term for such women. That might be called the what? The bottom Bottom what?
biatch.
Bottom biatch. Okay, so hey, strong bottom bitch is Miss Camille Cosby, because she came out and said, look, you have to look at the individuals who are making these assertions. Now, is it the individuals making these assertions, or is it the powers that be are trying to make a media hangman of Bill Cosby?
Or did Mr. Cosby
public
promise
lynching?
Yeah, or
public lynching.
Or did Mr. Cosby promise these women something in Hollywood and he didn't deliver?
Everybody does
I'm
that,
just saying,
though.
I'm
I mean,
just
the
saying.
casting couch
That's
is
the-
what could he
that-
promise?
That's the other side of the coin.
Sure,
That's
yeah,
what
but
I'm
what
saying.
could he promise that model? What was her name? Beverly Johnson.
She was on the show, wasn't she?
Did she end up on the show for the one episode?
An acting gig, something.
Right, because that's why I got her back to the crib, was
Because she was
to
going
come
over
read,
lines.
right?
Yeah.
There it is.
The first time she came over, she brought her daughter,
Then she
and they
came
read lines. The second, and he said, "Look, I'd like you to come over and read again. Let's be a little bit more serious about it." And she said, "Okay, I'll be back over." She chose to not bring her daughter with her that night, and that was the night that he made his move. So she says, "Let me ask you this, people, gentlemen." The fact that Bill Cosby, I'm certainly enough, at the recommendation of his fine legal team, by him not saying anything, is that indeed an assertion, perhaps without making one, of guilt? I
No.
mean,
Let's-
many people would say it does, right?
Okay.
Many people would say it does. Let's
look at this. Okay, how many allegations came against Michael Jackson? They created this whole thing about him being a child molester until he got his day in court. He was making billions on tour. His legal team said, "Go ahead and pay him off. It'll go away. Make this money, man."
Right.
He paid him off. That made him look more guilty. So that when it finally got to court, the powers that be kept pushing and pushing, and they got him in court. We found out that there was nothing there.
Right now, do we have depositions to that point? Were there depositions of Jackson in regards to this, or were there multiple depositions?
There were
published?
multiple,
Okay.
but even with they found out that one parent was trying to get a picture deal. They were trying to extort money, and one kid.
Yeah, and
it was suggested that it happened. His parents put it in his head, and it never happened.
Right, because one of the issues, because I read his book, and one of the issues, it was with a dentist, and his child, he wanted Mike to invest in something, and Mike didn't do it or anything, something to that degree, and he made all these allegations like, yeah, he raped my child, and yeah, dude, so it can get deep, man, especially if you're at the peak of your game, you're at the top of your game, that's when they're gonna come and try to get you, man.
And everybody says, "Well, there's smoke, there's fire," and that's not necessarily true. Because smoke may not be smoke; it could be mist or fog, or it's up to the individual's perception.
Right.
And because rape is such a strong thing, women jump on it.
Okay, so collectively,
that
have we
rape
seen
is
a reaction by females, almost like a Salem witch hunt, if you will, whereas they are collectively agreeing that he is guilty of this before any day in court, where there may not ever be a day in court. But are we seeing women, are we splitting along gender lines? What is the collective male opinion that is out there? People, we ask you gentlemen viewing us tonight here in the Man Cave on latalkradio.com what you think about Cosby. Is he or is he not guilty of these assertions? We may never see a day in court.
I think that his image, aside from these allegations, it's been tarnished because he's seen as a bitter old man now. After
Now,
Ennis,
Bill is how old? I'm sorry.
In his 80s.
I'm not sure how old he is, but after Ennis died, his whole demeanor kind of changed.
He almost became dark.
Yeah.
It was almost like
aggressive old
a
guy.
light.
Pull your
that
pants
suddenly-
up. You got to talk better.
Yeah,
You ain't shit.
He became that character on Fat Albert, the old guy sitting on the bench,
Yeah.
feeding the pigeons and Mudfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Ennis at Morehouse College. Tall dude, he was about 6'4", rather thin, complected more like his mom. And after I believe it was a Thanksgiving break or one of the holidays, he didn't return. And when word got back on campus that he had passed, of course we didn't. We thought it was something that he was murdered
illness. Okay,
essentially.
right.
And they never found the killers. And we do know in hindsight that when people disappear, and you look at the father or the relative connected to it, there is a lot of smoke. And like you said, that smoke may not be, it could be fog. I don't know. It could be mist. I mean, there's conspiracy theories abound. This would be the second time in which Cosby was taken down, if you will, for lack of a better term, by those,
pegs,
certainly a number of pegs.
Yeah.
So who are they?
And who know? Like, did he? And not for nothing. Since we on that, who are they? I mean, did he sell his soul? I mean, hey. There's so many ways to look at this thing, man. So many ways. There's so many angles, man. Like, because you got to give up something to get something. You dig?
Right. Now, when you're talking about the giving up of one's soul, that is.
I mean, to gain the type of power and the. And
okay,
the, and
but
the
from a pervasively, that is a thought that is most frequently applied to the music industry.
You know what? It's Hollywood, man.
It's Hollywood. Now I'm talking about the literal selling of one's soul. They were speaking of such. I mean,
you hear a lot of times.
Of course, Bob Dylan did an interview on 60 Minutes, and the 60 Minutes journalist asked him, what is, how can you explain your decades long significance and viability? And with a straight face, he replied, "I sold my soul to the devil." And the 60 Minutes correspondent kind of chuckled and asked him again. And he said, "No, I sold my soul to the devil."
That was a way of getting out of answering the question.
No. I mean,
I know where he was going.
He repeated the fact that he sold. Now, this is, of course, I mean, there's a number of things we can speak of in regards to this. If we do look at it, and you lead us into an area that is very, very, debatable, there's a number of stars who have lost very close family members, and we have asked a question the question has been asked on many a forum as to whether or not people have made certain sacrifices by way of necessity to gain their positioning.
People die every day.
But I'm talking about, but see, you have certain stars, and we won't throw any names out there, but for instance, you have one rapper that is clearly more lyrical than another rapper, but rapper A is kind of like stratosphere.
Right.
And then you got the other rapper is like, it's just as good, just as lyrical.
But it's all game. It's all game. Entertainment and big business, it's all game.
But I'm talking about, and walk with me on this, Lex. I mean, just the extreme gap of fame.
No, so now, in terms of that, are we? Hey, this is a ManCave. We talk the way we want to talk. This is where real talk gets really real. First and foremost,
baby.
Are we talking about Jay-Z?
Are
we talking about Kanye West?
You talking about Kanye?
Are we talking? No. They're
because his mama died getting
separate.
Fat sucked out of her.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, when you go to a chop shop, that's what happens.
Ironically enough, Kanye was in England and his mother passed. He wasn't there,
he ain't been the same since.
But of course, his positioning jettisoned since that. I mean, exponentiated.
It's who you align yourself with.
Well, align yourself with how? Aligning himself with whom?
Yeah.
Are you saying that he was aligning himself with Jay-Z?
And he's a good producer.
Okay, he's always been a good producer.
Yeah,
but
I'm not taking that away from him. But I'm sure there are people just as good as Kanye.
Well, Kanye is superior. He actually is a superior producer. But I'm simply saying that his exponentiated celebrity was jettisoned upon the passing of his mother.
And I'm not saying that's the case, but let's look at it from another angle.
I mean, some say Jay-Z and Aaliyah. The sacrifice for was Aaliyah because who's to say?
Yeah, you got to look at these people because you got to look at all these people of significant power.
Right.
They end up losing somebody close to them.
MJ, Michael Jordan's father passed.
How in the world? Because they ain't know anything about him. Then the next thing you know, we found Michael Jordan's father on the side of the road.
Right. In every case, they've never found culprits. Now, obviously,
out of nowhere.
But there's also the
hearsay
of gambling and other things going.
So that
has nothing to do with selling your soul to the devil. That means you didn't pay off your debts and.
No. I mean, hey, it's you know what? And once again, Michael Jordan. No, and I'm very adamant with Michael Jordan, whereas he is, of course, another member of the esteemed fraternity of Omega Psi Phi, which I am a member. I like to say
the dog.
1991 spring. But no. In terms of Jordan, at the loss of his father, it was traumatic. if you had followed him as a fan. But looking back, as an isolated event, it would look like just a tragedy. But if you look at the magnitude of certain stars by way of comparison to their peer group,
That's what I'm saying.
it's incredible.
Yeah, it's just
Michael
the gap
J.
is
Jordan.
just-
Jordan spoke of literally every day on ESPN. His name is mentioned. He's been retired going on 15 years or so, maybe
Something
more,
like
right?
that. And he's
Every single day his
that
name
dude
is
is
brought
an
up.
iconic brand.
Right, exactly.
What sneaker company gives you your own division?
Okay, Michael Jackson, same thing.
Right.
He was on a level that can't be duplicated.
But if you hear something, you didn't hear what Mike said before he.
He
before
talked about Sony. So I mean, what's the movie where the dude he's a fixer? They are
And, I mean,
in the industry. They are fixers.
Right.
Right.
So,
And not for nothing,
who
not for
knows?
nothing, Dre. I mean, you can look at it strange how Michael Jackson died like
Now we can understand
at
that
50
okay,
years old.
right? But okay, now conspiracy theorists abound. We can say that, or it is said by those that say these type of things, including ourselves, right?
get it. Right.
That Michael Jackson was worth more
dead
than alive.
Yeah.
Now, he was not the only one that falls into that particular category.
Right.
If you're familiar, those out there that may be familiar with the rule of 27. Gentlemen, you're familiar with the rule of 27?
Please expound.
Rule of 27 applies that at a certain point, two things. At the age of 27, depending on your value to the industry, your value to culture monetarily, you can get taken out. If you look at Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin,
Wow.
Kurt Cobain,
See, all of them,
what was the very Amy Winehouse?
Amy Winehouse. Man, all those guys.
All those people. And so there's from different eras all the way up to as of late.
So the fact that they were all drug heads had nothing to do with it. It's 27.
Well, I mean, there's been a little. No, there's been. I hear you. I definitely hear that point. But there's been a lot of drug users and people that have made it. I mean, was Whitney Houston worth more dead than alive? Let's look at her connections. Has there been careers that have been that have risen based on the demise of Whitney Houston? I don't know. One could argue. I don't know what close proximities Beyonce may have with the rest in peace Whitney Houston. I don't know. But from
Mariah
that
Carey better watch your back.
well, no, from that standpoint, has Beyonce, has there been a sacrifice of Beyonce in her camp? And I can't point to one. There's been a couple of assertions as to Jay-Z's camp. One can say who benefited from the loss of Tupac, who benefited from the loss of Notorious B.I.G.
Right.
One could suggest one Sean P. Diddy Combs. I'm not. That's not my. I didn't originate that thought.
Right,
I didn't originate that theorem.
Sure. And all those and all the people and all those people that you name, such as the Tupacs and the Biggies.
Right.
Killer is still out there.
Never found. I mean, it's interesting. Look, let me tell you something. If you look at the
Very
fact that
Scooby-Doo.
a couple months ago, within this year, there was a plane that had 273 people on it that disappeared over the Indian Ocean. If you would ask me in this day and age of cell phones and satellites, how a major jet liner could mysteriously disappear, not having found to have crashed in the ocean nor crashed on any land that we know of, and still remains a disappearing plane. We do know that there were 4 doctors on that plane that were on their way to an AIDS summit in which they were potentially to announce a cure for AIDS. That plane mysteriously disappeared. Some would say that the plane has landed in somewhere in Malaysia. But conspiracy theories abound. We don't want to make this into a conspiracy theory show, although we go off on tangents, but they make a lot of sense. These things have to be discussed on the ManCave, if nowhere else.
Right. Yeah. Just like, how do things just mysteriously happen? Like, oh,
I mean, you know what? Let me tell you something.
There's a lot of phenomenon out there.
They have clones that are smaller, or not clones. They have drones that are smaller than pennies. Drones that are the size of flies. Okay. So you mean tell me if you have a drone you can make a drone the size of a fly where someone's controlling such from 3,000-4,000 miles away, and you can't find a plane that had 273 78 people on it. Give me a break. I mean, something. Hey,
Makes
I don't know. This
makes
is
you
all
wonder.
to say that while we are not making attacks against the women that have waged a war on Bill Cosby, what I'm saying is that it needs to be discussed, because all we've seen is a barrage of attack on Bill Cosby. We have not seen the converse. We have not seen a rush in defense of it. Although I will say that Tyler Perry has made has made very firm comments and statements which would lead to defend and bolster and stand behind Bill Cosby.
Wow.
Where's Sidney Poitier? They were in the 70s. I'm sure he got a lot of white chicks too, man.
They call
Guess
him
who's coming to
Mr.
dinner?
Tibbs.
Yeah,
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
I mean, look, guess who's coming to dinner?
Okay.
You know, look, if you look at the contemporaries of Bill Cosby in that era, there was a lot of good stuff going on. I don't know.
He was an athlete.
Yeah, dude. He was. Yeah.
He was a star, stand-up screen, television.
Okay, you
He
know what?
didn't have to work. He
Okay,
had
here's
sweat
a
no
question.
chicks for
Here's
no
a
ass,
question,
man.
and we've definitely spent the hour discussing Cosby. Not a problem. It's a wonderful discussion. Are you guys familiar with what happened? I guess it was a Cosby show reunion, maybe a few years ago, in which Lisa Bonet chose to not attend.
Right.
And then she also has said something as of late on Twitter about one's karma returning to
I mean, but not for nothing. Like I said, I wasn't there, so I really don't know. But I mean, Lisa Bonet had her issues too, man.
Right.
She had a lot of issues, because that one thing, it was like, and she knew before she joined the show how Bill Cosby was about education and setting an example for the young people. And she goes out and she gets pregnant. And he fires her like, yo, look, I can't have you. But then on top of that, turned around and said, you know what? I'll give you your own show. I'll give you a different world. Mess that up. Why are you gonna be mad at that man? That man gave you a career. Now I don't know. Maybe he did touch it. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm just saying, on the outside looking in, it's like he gave you a career.
Right.
He gave you your own show on primetime television.
Right.
8:30 NBC.
So you're saying that her coming out against him now was maybe a payback, a retribution for something, or harms done.
I mean, to me, it's like, well, since everybody else doing it, let me jump on in and get mine off. Like I'm saying, because my thing is this: if you knew that happened and you've been sitting on it that long, why you didn't say anything then or make mention of it like that? But you wait till everybody and their grandmother come out with, yo, Cosby raped me. You know what, girl? He raped me too. Did he bite your toes too? Yeah, he bit my toes.
Okay.
Come on.
Well, now, as we speak about this, we'll have to.
Reality show.
Hey, there you go. I gotta give me a check, girl.
Look, it has to be said that while we have discussed from the standpoint that this is all happening at once, there is a chronology that can be applied to this, whereas there have been assertions made by women going as far back as 2005. So it may be, one can find it hard to defend the standpoint that this is a rush to judgment, because there is documented efforts of women who have tried to bring this to light and have been either paid off and or shut down by the powers that be.
Okay.
And that is, of course, just all for the other side of this, where we may be in some ways defensive of Cosby, but we have to remain objective in order to give a holistic look at the situation.
So what you're saying, there have been some women that have come forth earlier,
yes,
but they say they just got paid off.
Some they say have been paid off and went away, but it's just the notion that
we do know that Hollywood takes care of their diamond ship players.
Yeah, you take care of your diamond, but your diamond start acting up. Then
you got to look Eddie Murphy. Those not allegations, but he likes the transvestites. And then one came out and said, yeah, he picked me up on Sunset, and mysteriously they fall out a window.
Oh, so you're saying the she-male or the tranny that made that assertion mysteriously
died. So.
There you go. And see, he getting Disney money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we won't talk about Walt Disney. That's for another show.
Okay.
Well, if we talk about Walt Disney, we all might get shut down.
Yeah, how about that?
You know, I might turn up
shut, you know what I mean?
somewhere on PCH with cement overshoes.
Well, you know what I'm
As they
saying?
say, it might took a long walk off a short pier.
Yeah,
Be
so I
like-
get like, I mean, it's kind of like what we were saying earlier. It's kind of like, oh, you getting beside yourself,
Yeah.
so to speak. And like, okay, we're gonna bring you down a few
Right.
pegs.
It'd be like adult media magnate Lexington Steele found deceased in his home. And
With cement shoes on.
Yes.
Lose at 11. Like,
yeah,
oh, snap.
they found
Like, what did he
multiple,
do?
you know.
Yeah.
Well, that won't happen. Because I'll be there to train. I ain't trying to walk up on nothing. Like, oh, hey, Adam.
Oh, you know what? Before we get out of here tonight, and we'll definitely continue to keep you guys abreast of the Cosby circumstance as it continues to develop. We do not, of course, make any aspersions to his guilt or innocence.
Mm-hmm.
It is the notion that the circumstance is up to discussion by way of debate, and we encourage that here on ManCave Live. Also, gentlemen, we do have a momentous occurrence taking place on the watch of one President Barack Obama, who has
Cuba.
once again pulled off one of the greatest or one of the most historic situations that any president has done. I mean, it's been 50 plus years that the island of Cuba has been under communist rule, and of course at the contradiction or conflict with the United States. Barack Obama, president, has made way for a rebuilding of the relationship with Cuba. I think this is a good thing. I think the people of Cuba have expressed that they found it a good thing.
They
But
can
the real,
sell those cigars now. That's all that means.
well, they can not only that, but I mean, you know, I think that it'll have a big impact on the island. I think that while we may not gain a lot from that country, and of course, you know, reestablishing associations, but they would do themselves well to bring themselves out of the 1950s and into the 2000s on the island of Cuba.
It's so crazy that you speak about Barack Obama bringing relations like Cuba and United States together. But look what remember they had those hostages in Iran?
Right.
Who did it take to go over there to free them?
And Jesse's the one that went and negotiated the release of the individual that was this whole thing was based on.
Yeah.
Right.
They went over there and talked them out of it.
Right.
Like,
And he's done that. Jesse
Right,
Jackson,
right.
of course. And people, you can't make this up, but I will say it. The Reverend Jesse Jackson is also an esteemed member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
But look, let me
which
ask you
I'm
this.
a member from 1991.
He's a brother of
Yeah,
yours.
he's a Q.
He's a Q.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. A lot of times, do you understand what he's saying?
Jesse Jackson? Yeah. I mean, but,
Is
no.
it because of the southern accent?
No. You know what?
Or is it you got a speech impediment? I
No,
don't know what.
no,
I'd be
you know
like,
what it is?
what Jesse
No,
talking
you
about?
know what it
Right.
is? Jesse is always in preacher mode, reverend
Yeah,
mode.
okay,
So what I
right.
do is I go back to listening to the preacher
Okay,
in the church,
pulpit
the
okay,
Baptist church,
right.
And you know how like
'Cause
some
everything rhymes.
Yeah,
and
like,
everything,
you know,
yeah.
pastors in the Baptist
Well,
they can sing the sermon.
Down-
It's very poetic,
Right.
floetic, if you
There
will.
it is. Reincarnation
Right.
For the congregation.
of information
Yeah.
from the segregation.
No, but if you know, but it makes good sense. And I mean, you know,
the
the mastery of vernacular and syntax by Jesse Jackson
Hey, man.
is remarkable, despite how
is.
it sounds. If you were to read what he's speaking, you would certainly be impressed.
Of course.
Right.
It's on par with
yeah.
one Lexington Steele.
Yeah.
No. But without question, I'll tell you what. He's been around for a long time,
Nah,
and he's
yeah.
always been. He was right next to Dr. King, standing above Dr. King when Dr. King was taken out.
You know what? Lately, I've changed over the years. But you know, not for nothing. Like Jesse Jackson, he does this thing, but I'm just not. Because we didn't get a chance to get to this. Like these, you know, this could be another subject.
Right.
Our so-called black leaders, like the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons. But I won't step into that, man. But I just thought I'd throw that out there because I'll be like, yo, what Jesse talking about? Like, and it's for a good cause.
Well, there's
I
a
do
conflict.
understand.
There certainly is
it's
a
good.
conflict that is developing
cause.
between this generation's freedom fighters, if you will, versus the civil rights, the old school civil rights leaders who are considered that they've went full mainstream media and now are no longer appropriate in the situations that are happening today. But I will say that the Reverend Jesse Jackson has never been accused of being one that's jumped the shark, if you will, as they say. Whereas Sharpton, and
Ambulance
I'm a
chaser.
fan of Sharpton, but they say Sharpton now is a member of mainstream media, that he's no longer in tune, and it's just for him a promotional vehicle for his own means.
And here's my thing, like,
We'll know for sure when he cut his perm.
You
He
know,
lost the weight,
he
but he
lost
ain't cut his
crazy
perm.
weight.
yet.
You
Yeah.
see
And he got
that?
himself a 20-year-old,
Yeah.
or a woman in her 20s.
Well, you know what? He need
Money,
to get
baby.
with R3.
The Formula.
Yeah, he need to get down with that. He got him a
Rocket
21.
Restored.
He got him a 20-year-old in his sack, so he need to get down with that. But not for nothing. I'm like with Sharpton. I'm like, I mean, come on, man. Out of nowhere, he gets a show on CNN.
Yeah.
I rest my case. He got a show on CNN. I mean, good for him, but come on.
I'll tell you, well, before we get out of it, people want to make sure that you know and are familiar with how to catch up with ourselves. Beginning with you, Andre, tell us where people can get a hold of you.
Andre Lavelle on Facebook, and also PCW Fit, Instagram, and everywhere else.
And you know what, people? Andre is also a professional stand-up comedian. You've got to check out his show. As I understand it, Dre, you are performing this weekend, correct?
Mr.
Yes, I
Funny
have.
Man.
I have a show, Beast Mode Comedy. It's going to be Saturday at
Yeah, that place.
yeah, that's fake. 7 o'clock Saturday in the Valley. Go
Be
to my
there.
Facebook page, you'll see it. It's at Rain Nightclub.
There it is.
Yeah.
At
Ventura
Rain
Boulevard.
Nightclub on
There it
Ventura
is.
Boulevard
Ventura.
in California, Southern California.
There it is.
Yes.
What, you have the time on that?
7 o'clock.
7 p.m. Pacific at Club Rain in the Valley. What town again?
Studio City.
Studio City. And Johnny Day, you appear courtesy of Rise, Rock, and Restore Formula R3. Where can people find you at?
Oh, you can find me at Facebook, Johnny Depp. You can find me on Twitter, Johnny Depp. You can find me on Instagram, Johnny's Dangerous. And I'm also, like I said, I am the spokesperson for Formula R3, Rise, Rock, and Restore, FormulaR3.com. And you guys will become, and you will have the experience of Formula R3 soon enough. And please let me know your thoughts.
No doubt. For all the good people here at ManCave Live, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. This is your host, Lexington Steele, with Andre Lavelle and Johnny Depp. We'll be here every Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time on LATalkRadio.com.
Yep.
Peace and good night.
And good night.
You're listening to The Man Cave with Lexington Steele and co-hosts Andre Lavelle and John E. Depth, right here on LA Talk Radio.